Hello again, and thank you for your interest in this subject of counting cats for tracking population impact. We work hard at population management in our clinics, in the field, in our conversations with owners and feeders. We do this to make a difference to the lives of cats and the people they live amongst. These differences can be described as impacts, and they commonly include a reduction in free-roaming cats, in particular kittens, because they have such high mortality and vulnerability to poor welfare. And we are usually focused on unowned free-roaming cats, both feral and street cats. We also commonly want to see an improvement in the welfare state of the remaining free-roaming cats. But how do we know this is actually happening, that we are indeed making a difference? Well, surveying the free-roaming cat population would tell us that, but I find there is a common barrier to surveying, and that's our desire for the magic number, the total number of cats in our community. But calculating a robust estimate of the total free-roaming cat population is not straightforward. It requires a representative sample of the area to have been counted, a decent sample size, and expertise in analysis, and the challenge of detectability. That is the proportion of the free-roaming cat population that we actually see on our surveys. So when we set out to survey cats, we know we miss a lot of them. We just don't see them. So during our 2024 ICAM conference, we heard Tamara Cartel from Four Paws report that they estimated they were seeing about 13% of the cats during their survey of free-roaming cats in Sofia, Bulgaria. So for every cat they saw on their survey, they estimated there were 7 further free-roaming cats that they didn't see. So what do we do about that? Well, we could start using methods like individual recognition and mark recapture analysis or distance sampling to try and calculate how many we miss. But I also want to propose that a total estimate, although ideal, is not an essential. We can actually go a surprisingly long way without it. Consider this. Are there plenty more fish in the sea? If you work in the fishing industry, the literal meaning of this question is really important. But fish are hard to count because they're under the sea. So the fishing industry uses a really basic and accessible indicator, the number of fish they catch and land using a consistent amount of catching effort. This is like a small window through which we catch a glimpse, a reflection of the wider population. If we see the number of a particular species of fish decline in the catch, then this indicates to us that the wider population of those fish is also declining in the sea. So what does this look like for cat counting? It's a simple count along transects, also known as routes. You travel along this route and catch just visibly, not physically, every cat that you pass. The image here shows transects used by Four Paws for that earlier survey that I mentioned in Sofia. What's important is that these counts are repeated over time. The data I'm showing here is actually from a dog population management project. This is Help in Suffering in Jaipur, India. But I love this example, so I hope you will forgive the species swap. Help in Suffering uses 6 routes, which they walk every 6 or 12 months, on 6 consecutive mornings. And what you see in the graph is simply the total number of dogs seen on all of those 6 routes. And you can see the clear decline in that number over time. And although I don't have the data to show you here, they have continued this counting since 1997, now approaching 30 years. There's no complex analysis here, just the number of dogs counted on each survey event. What makes this so powerful is the dedication to long-term data collection and the consistency. Same routes, same time of day, and same survey protocol year after year. Standardization is really important when we consider how we count. So, same route, same time of day, same mode of transport. Don't go from foot to car. Find a way that works best and then stick to it. Use the same survey effort. Are you looking under every parked car that you pass? Down every side street? There isn't a strict rule on what you should do, but it must be consistent over time. If you can, use the same observers, or at least do a handover training to ensure that consistency is maintained between observers. Avoid poor weather and holidays when people will change their behaviour and the cats will change their roaming behaviour in response. These are all what we call confounding variables. They muddy the water. Remember our fisherman analogy. If they go and buy a bigger boat, bigger nets, fish for longer, then their catch reflects a change in their fishing capacity or effort, not the fish stocks. We want to be sure that the number of cats we count is only affected by the number of cats that exist in the wider free roaming population. So if we see the number of cats we count decline by half over a period of years, we can be confident that is because the wider cat population has declined by half. The next question is what to record for each cat that we see. You'll need to record the location of the cat, and if you're using an app to record your data, like ICAM's Talea app, the location is recorded automatically. But I would also record whether this is a sterilised or intact cat. So I'm assuming here you are marking cats as sterilised using ear tipping. And I would record their age at its most basic level. Is this an adult or a kitten? Consider using your age for sterilisation here as your threshold for when a cat becomes defined as no longer a kitten and into adulthood. You may want to extend this to include some welfare scores such as body condition or signs of respiratory illness, or perhaps whether the cat is wearing a collar. But this isn't essential, and remember we are looking for consistency when repeating this survey over time. So the more you add, the more training is required to ensure all observers score in the same way. So think carefully. What difference are you trying to make? You probably aren't trying to make a fundamental change to coat colours, for example, so I would leave this one out. Finally, where to count. Two of the most commonly used options are random samples and hotspot routes. One approach to creating a random sample is to use the smallest available administrative area, like postcodes or wards, taking a random sample of these and creating one or more routes that wind through these sample areas. This can be just a simple random selection from across the whole area, or you can stratify the area first into different types of area, as Four Paws did with districts in Sofia, and then take a random sample from within each of these different area types. With hotspot routes, we first identify all those places that we know are hotspots for free roaming cats, where we're confident we'll see the greatest number of cats. And then we create routes that link up most, if not all, of these hotspots in a convenient way. So these routes should cover your project area, and ideally a few routes in areas where you do not work that can be used as controls for comparison to your project, which is the treatment. When designing these, be sure to make sure these routes are not too long. More than an hour may lead to mistakes as you become fatigued, and it's better to have a few shorter routes than one long, arduous one. My last point is about recording your data. You could go out with a clipboard and paper, but I would like to encourage you to try using ICAM's Talea phone app. It's free to use, comes with a video user guide, and takes a lot of the pain out of navigating along your routes because it includes a map. It's easy to record all the cats you see, including their GPS location. Data storage is done for you, and then you can view or download your data afterwards. And it's also now available on both Android and iOS. I don't have time today to explain how to get set up, but please take a look at this webinar on our ICAM website to learn more. So what our Transect count can provide are indicators like this: total cats counted, the percentage sterilised, and the percentage of kittens, which both tell us about the number of kittens at risk, but is also an indicator of the breeding activity of the free roaming cats. You can combine the data from all the routes to present how your whole population is responding to your efforts, but you can also look at individual routes and compare them and see if you can draw some insights as to why you see greater impact on some than others. There can be a wealth of potential learning here. So this has been a very speedy run through cat counting. So I'd like to suggest ACC&D's cat counting guide for more information. This guide also links to key points in the DC Cat Count Toolkit, which is an even deeper dive into cat counting and a good resource for those of you that want to take the extra step of estimating the total population. And last but not least, if you feel inspired to get out and count some cats, and I really hope you do, please take a look at Talea. It will make your counts much easier to implement. Many thanks for listening.